Hey, ¿qué pasa, Calexico? Welcome back to the podcast. Like always, before we begin, I want to thank a couple of people. I want to thank my sponsors, Camilo, Jake, Edward Velasquez. I also want to thank John Cabrera from AmeriCorp, Eddie Lopez from Roots Creative, Norma Galindo. I want to thank Sergio's Tacos and Hotdogs, serving the Imperial, San Diego, and Yuma counties with over 8 years of experience of Mexicali-style hot dogs and taquizas. Contact Sergio at 760-562-0057 or on Facebook. Make sure to look for Sergio's Tacos and Hotdogs. I also want to thank David Gastelum if you're thinking of buying or sell. If you're thinking of buying or selling a home in the Imperial, San Diego counties, make sure you contact David. He's not only a realtor but an investor with over 20 years of experience, and he'll teach you along the way in one of the most important investments of your life. Contact David at 760-235-9576. Finally, I want to thank my friends here at Modern Home Furnitures for allowing me, give me a space to record today's episode. I want to thank Fernie and Robert for staying late today and opening their showroom and letting me record today's episode here. So thank you guys. I really, really appreciate it. Today I have a guest that actually I had reached out to, not to this person, but whoever was in charge a while back, and we never got in touch. And then the pandemic happened, and things went kind of crazy. But today I have George Marquez, who is the current president for the Calexico Rotary Club. Thank you for taking this time and being here today.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. I know I had heard in the past somebody was supposed to come on here, but it's an honor being here now.
No, thank you. I know you were really recently appointed as a president for the Rotary Club.
Actually, yes. I started really about 2 or 3 weeks ago, beginning of July. But I was actually sworn in this Wednesday. Oh,
so you're right off fresh off the grill or the press, as they say, right?
So officially, yeah, as of Wednesday, I am the new president. But I was acting as president for a few weeks before that.
Oh, okay. So before we get into the Rotary Club and everything that goes around it, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yes. Again, my name is George Marquez. I was born in Los Angeles, and I moved to the Imperial Valley when I was about 9 years old.
Oh,
wow. It's a long time ago.
I was born in LA and moved here when I was 8 years old. So yeah, that is in common.
So, for all intents and purposes, I am a Valley native because I pretty much, this is all I know. I know the Valley. I'm the youngest of 9 kids. Mm-hmm. I actually grew up in El Centro, over there in the north side of town, and I went to elementary school there and high school. Youngest of 9 kids. There's a age difference of like 20 years between me and my oldest brother.
Wow.
Yeah, and I'm currently married, and I have to Patricia, and I have 2 lovely daughters, ages 7 and 4, Mia and Camila.
Oh, wow. So yeah, it's crazy that we have that in common. We're like, we were born in LA and then came here when we were like 9 or 8.
There's a lot of people like that here in the Imperial Valley. That's why there's so many Dodger fans.
Yeah, I don't think about when I was growing up. My dad was never like into sports. Like I didn't grow up like watching sports. Probably when we got here, I grew up in Las Pichoneras. I don't know if you're familiar with Las Pichoneras.
Where?
Las Pichoneras.
No, okay.
It's right here down Rockwood. Those.
I've heard of it. That's why.
Those apartments that have Virgin Mary and.
Okay. Yeah.
So that's where I grew up, and we have a basketball court right in the middle. Like I live like right in front of the basketball court. So, when we got here, I started playing basketball because that's what everybody there did. They played basketball till like, especially in the summers, we would play like at 3 a.m. when it wasn't that hot. We used to play basketball. So like growing up, I didn't really watch any sports till I got here. But never with my dad. So maybe if, that's one thing that I don't have in common with a lot of people from LA. Like, I'm not a huge Dodger fan. I think I'm more of a Padre fan just because, here in the area, there's a lot of Padre fans as well. So, yeah. But yeah, Dodgers, everybody down here is a Dodger fan, it seems.
Yeah, there is a lot of Dodgers and Lakers fans here. I still remember Fernando Mania, when I was a little kid, but my dad was really into it, because my parents are from Sonora. They're from a small town in Sonora called Alamos. And so actually Fernando was from Sonora. He's from this little town over there. It's a really long name. I can't even remember it, but I remember our family was into it.
Yeah. So, I mean, for those people that don't know what the Rotary Club, can you give us a little background history about the Rotary Club?
The Rotary Club was actually founded by an attorney. I'm an attorney myself. I forgot to mention that. I used to be a DA, and now I'm a deputy public defender. It was started by an attorney named Paul Harris. And Paul Harris was a very interesting man because he was kind of like a jack of all trades, so to speak. Back when he became a lawyer, you could do it, just by working with another lawyer, by apprenticeship and things like that. But he did a lot of things, and he traveled around the country. And he started the Rotary Club in the earlier part of the 1900s, and it was in Chicago. And he started it as kind of like fraternal organizations for men mostly, so he could hang out with other attorneys or other professionals. And from there, over the years, it started evolving into a service organization. And the chapters started growing, started in Chicago, Illinois. And before he knew it, he had chapters around the country. And then it started growing international, and it kind of exploded. And to this day, we have Rotary chapters all over the world, and it has become a service organization. Now, what do I mean by service organization? It's a organization that's pretty much dedicated to community service, to help out the community in any way we can, mostly through volunteer work, and also at times through money where it's needed. So essentially, in a nutshell, that's what it is. It's a service organization. To join, we pay a fee. The members pay a fee. Sometimes there are honorary members who don't have to pay a fee. We sometimes we have fundraisers or we put grant applications in to get money for certain projects.
And you mentioned, what was the founder's name?
Excuse me?
What was the founder's name?
Paul Harris, yeah.
And you mentioned that he started it as a, way to kind of meet with professionals. Because I read somewhere that, for a while, the Rotary Club had this reputation of being like the good old boys club where, men used to hang out, and mostly men that, but I'm sure that now it's, gone away from that, from that reputation and had a little.
Actually, I think there's a certain degree of truth to that, but you got to keep in mind the early 1900s. I think that was just a sign of the times. I don't think that was just something that was solely the Rotary Club. It was probably a lot of different organizations because back then, that was just how people thought. Yeah. As the times changed, obviously the Rotary Club adjusted and it evolved. And I like what it's evolved to now. It's both males, females, and males, and we do help a lot the community. Yeah,
and the reason I mentioned it was because now I know there's females there. The previous president was Miss Hortensia Mendares, who was obviously female. So you can see that it's no longer that thing that it used to be known as. So yeah, that's one of the reasons why I kind of mentioned it, because I wanted to make sure that people knew that it's a Rotary Club is now a female male organization that
Yes, and I'm glad you mentioned that. Yeah, because you're right. Last year we did have a female, Hortensia Mendares, who was actually a really great president, and she did tremendous work for the community. And she's a Calexico native, and she's a tremendous asset to the club. She did a really good job.
Yeah, and even outside of the Rotary Club, I've known Miss Hortensia for a long while, and her and her family do a lot of great work for the community. Not only because she has her job, and she helps a lot of people who are in need in her community, but she also extends that outside of her job, her and her family do a lot of community service work.
Yes, I think one of the things with her is she's immersed in the community. She works for the Calexico School District. She's close. I think when you're immersed in the community, you listen to what the community has to say. and you feel what the community feels. And I think it's a tremendous advantage having people like that in the club.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's been here a long time. I think for a while she was a principal at my elementary school, Kennedy Gardens. So she knows a lot of the community, and especially now her husband is a city council member, and he deals a lot with the community as well. So
yes, Camilo, yeah, and her son as well.
Oh yeah, her son, yeah. He's been doing a lot of good job with his photography and working with the Calexico Chronicle. Yeah, he's really involved in the community as well.
Yes, he seems like a very, very talented kid. And he actually did this design. We're and we could talk about this a little bit later, but we're having a 100-year centennial celebration of the Rotary Clubs of Imperial Valley, and he helped create the logo for our letterhead. And he did a really good job with that. Again, it's volunteer work, and I think it's part of their family. They're just they do volunteer for the community.
Yeah, it's in their blood, right?
Yeah.
So what does a regular meeting look like when you guys get together?
Well, when we get together, the first thing that I'm finding out as president is I got to be the first one there so I can set everything up. So when I get there, I set up the tables, etc. I set up the podium, the American flag, and typically we have a bell. So I ring the bell, with the gavel, and once I call the meeting to order, we say an invocation, a prayer. We say the 4-way test for Rotary, which is a saying. We read the minutes from last week. It's very methodical, and then we enter into our business. And so it could be old business, discussing old projects, or discussing new business. So it's pretty much like a standard meeting that you would have.
Kind of like a city council meeting or a commission meeting or...
Similar, yeah. Yes. And so, and we vote on things, if we want to, for example, if we want to purchase backpacks for students, and we'll vote on it. And if we decide to do it, then we'll take that project up and we'll pay for it.
And most of your funds come through membership and fundraisers and grants, like you said? It's
typically, there's 3 ways that we mostly get funds. It's through membership. Okay, our members pay dues every year. Okay. The second way is by grants. That means we, through the Rotary Foundation, whether it's the district or through Rotary International, we request funds for certain projects, matching funds. For example, we'll put $3,000 or $500 into a project, and Rotary International or the district will match that. The other way is by fundraising, and in Calexico Rotary, we do have this wonderful fundraising activity that we do every year, and we get excited for that. And so it's called the Crab Crack.
I think I heard this year when I think in Instagram post somebody posted about it. Can you tell us a little bit about what that is?
Well, the Crab Crack essentially it's a dinner. We sell tickets to it, and we provide crab, not crack. We call it the Crab Crack. It's a little slip of the tongue there. Okay. Yeah. Let's make that clear. We provide crab
that you crack.
That we crack, with those.
Yeah, the walnut crushers. Is it?
Yeah, and so, and we provide typically drinks as well, and it's an event that we have approximately March of every year, and we also have raffles. We raffle certain prizes that Rotary members donate, and it's a way for us to obtain funds for our projects, and it's something that. Also that we enjoy doing. It was actually started by Gil Perez, who was a longtime Rotarian, and he passed away a couple years ago, a big loss to our club. But that was his brainchild. That was his project. That was something he enjoyed doing. And when we'd have the crab cack, he'd pretty much put it together, and he would go purchase the crab in San Diego, so it was fresh. he really did a lot in terms of organizing the crab crack. And now his daughters are involved. His wife, Ray, and his two daughters, Claire and Julie, are involved with the club. And I am hoping, and I know they're going to be involved with the crab crack. And I think we are very excited about them doing that this year.
And especially, this year, since, last year was kind of like it's super hard for people to get together. I don't know how you guys handle that crab crack with the pandemic.
Well, that's a good question. We didn't have one, so unfortunately we haven't had a crab crack since we didn't have it since 2019, and which is sad, because that's something that's very Calexico Rotarian. It's I think when Rotarians in Imperial Valley think about Calexico Rotary, a lot of them think about this crab crack, and when are we going to hit them up for tickets, because they're expecting it.
So when you guys have the crab crack, it's, people come down to you guys and they all meet at the same place. And
yes, it's at the it's been at the Calexico Community Center. And typically we sell tickets to other Rotary members through Imperial Valley. And like I said, and Mexicali as well. We extend invitation to them, and a lot of times they're expecting it already. It's that time of year for the crab crack, and they'll be expecting it. And so we all get some tickets to sell, and it's a good time.
Yeah.
I'll invite you next time.
All right, for sure.
So you can go check it out and have some crab.
For sure. So, going back to the pandemic, how hard was it for you guys to, meet and have your event, or your events or help with the community during the pandemic?
Well, it's funny you should say that. I've always thought that, for example, if you have something negative, there's always a positive in bad things. In some way, there's always something positive. Unfortunately, we weren't able to meet in person like we typically do, and so we were meeting through Zoom. And but that didn't stop the club from pursuing certain projects. We still did projects, and we did some projects that were related to the pandemic as well. Like, for example, we provided hand sanitizers and things like that for the Calexico police and the firefighters, and also the elderly as well. Mm-hmm. Through Dr. Vo, who's a Calexico Rotarian. Yeah. We were able to get some district grant money to purchase, to get money. Essentially, we put $3,500 of our own money. The district matched it with $3,500 as well, $7,000. That money went to helping people, typically people who had cancer, and who had to get specialized treatment in San Diego or Riverside County. We'd give them gas vouchers through Amigos Alejandro and the Cancer Resource Center. But most of the money went to Amigos Alejandro because it's a Calexico-based organization. And so, it was a very noble cause. Obviously, when you have a situation like that, when, you have a child who's sick and you need to get to San Diego to get treatment, any bit helps. Yeah. So
unfortunately, here in the Valley, we have a lot of those cases, or people with cancer, and has to do with probably our quality or whatnot. But yeah, it's unfortunate that there's people that need the help, and fortunately that there's people like the Rotary Club that's there to help them.
Yeah, and ever since I became a Rotarian, I became a Rotarian in 2018. Okay, which isn't that long, because there's Rotarians who have been Rotarians for decades, and we have them in our clubs. We have these people who have been Rotarians for a very, very long time, who've done a tremendous amount of work for the community. But I think to a certain degree, if you really get into the Rotary Club, you start thinking in a way as, how can I address the needs of community? And that's one thing that we need to strive for, to find exactly what are the needs of the community. How can we reach out to help? How can we help? And so we do know that in Imperial Valley, there is a tremendous amount of of cancer. There's a lot of asthma. There's a lot of allergies and things like that. And that's where the idea from buying these gas cards came from, or these vouchers. Those vouchers are for gas, lodging, and food.
Yeah, because a lot of people need to go out of town to get treatment and or medical visits and stuff like that. And you know, especially the way gas is right now, the price of gas.
Oh, the price of gas right now is horrendous. But yeah, you're right. And I think being from the Imperial Valley, I think all of us know those people or have been related to people or been personally affected by somebody who's sick and who needs to go to San Diego for treatment. Yeah. So it's something that's very common here. So
for somebody that's interested in becoming a Rotarian, what are the requirements to become part of your club?
Typically what happened is we will invite them to a meeting. And at the meeting, we just kind of want to get to know them. Okay. And then we'll give them, if they go to typically 2 meetings, we'll buy them dinner. We used to have our meetings at Denny's. We used to rent out the
back room.
Yeah. And, we don't have them there anymore, but back then we would buy them a couple of dinners, you know, so they can come to our meetings. We get to know them. They get to know us. We ask them questions. And then if we decide they're a go, we give them a kind of like a folder with everything they need to know about Rotary. And then we tell them, well, this is you have our dues, which are, you know, but our dues go to helping an organization that helps the community. So it's kind of essentially you do pay dues, but it's like paying into your community because the work we do does go back into the community.
Yeah. So recently you guys had like an award ceremony, and not only did you guys give out awards, but you guys also received an award yourselves, right?
Yeah, that was actually in San Diego, and that was in June. We got the Small Club of the Year. That was in June, and Dr. Vo got an award as well, award for Man of Action for Rotary, which, you know, they're 2 big things because we're probably the smallest club in the Imperial Valley. And I think the fact that we got that award speaks volumes about the people, the quality of people we have in our club. Yeah. And I think one of the things that you will see in this club is that you're not going to see individual people taking credit for anything. We just said, you know, it's the club, as well as it should be. And so it's a tremendous honor to get that award for a club like ours because we did do certain things to help the community. Like I said, Hortensia did a really good job last year running the club, and she put us in that position. So,
yeah, and you, I mean, Hortensia did a good job. I know Dr. Vo, you know, with his clinic did a lot of work in our community. Not only, you know, he was one of the first to get, you know, have a test for COVID. He was helping people who were sick with COVID. He was giving them meals. I think you were part of the Rotary Club was also part of that.
Yes, we had volunteers from the Rotary Club that were helping to deliver meals as well. And again, Dr. Vo has been a tremendous asset to the club and to the community in general because, as you indicated, he was pretty much, I think he probably gave more vaccines than anyone else.
Up to now, I think he's still giving out vaccines.
And he's still doing it right now. But then he took it a step to the next step, which was providing food, delivering food to those people who were infected. And he continues to do other things for the community too. So, like I said, that's what Rotary is about. So, and we gave him an award as well a couple of days ago, Rotarian of the Year.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, because of all the things he did for the community.
Can you tell us a little bit about any upcoming events or projects that the Rotary Club is planning?
Yeah, well, our next project right now is, we're purchasing backpacks for high school students, and it's typically going to go to the high school students who we feel need it the most: homeless high school students, indigent high school students. So we're gonna give out approximately between 72 and 100 backpacks, and we're teaming up with Dr. Vo for that project. He's giving out some backpacks to elementary school students. We're going to focus on the high school students who we feel need it the most, and that should be probably within the next couple of weeks. I already ordered them. I just purchased them yesterday, and I'm waiting for them to get to my house.
So you're gonna get a big load of backpacks?
I'm going to get a big box at my house, but I'm used to getting boxes at my house because my wife shops through Amazon. So
yeah, I think I'm the one that does the most shopping at the house. So backpack is one of them. What about the community service? Any projects of going? I remember the last time I saw something the Rotary Club was doing was they were painting fire hydrants.
That's something that's done on a yearly basis. We're hoping we do that again. So that's definitely something that we have planned out. So we had one member who was pretty much in charge of that. So we're probably going to have somebody else try to take over that, because, having nice colored, freshly painted fire hydrants is something that looks good.
Yeah.
So that's something that's in the works. We're also, like I mentioned, we, in the past, we got the grants for the cancer patients. I actually just completed the grant last week to continue that, so we can keep providing gas vouchers for lodging and food for that as well. There's another thing that we want to do. We had actually planned to do my swearing in at the Carmen Durazo Cultural Arts Center, and we weren't able to do it because they had a water leak. So they told us kind of like last minute, you can't do it. So we had to do it at the community center. But they didn't charge us, and they didn't charge us for the community center. In exchange, we have to sponsor some event, some cultural event at the Carmen Durazo Cultural Arts Center. So that's something that we want to do, and it's also something that's very close to my heart, because I have a lot of family in the arts. My dad was a mariachi, and so I think anything that's related to kids and art is something that's very positive.
Yeah.
So we also want to continue. One of the things we did in the past was give boxes of food to the food bank, and we're going to continue at this year as well.
Okay. So the food bank. I actually had the pleasure of interviewing. Can't remember the director's name. I'm sorry, forgot your name. But the food bank here in the Imperial Valley does an amazing job at helping those families in need with food, and I know during the pandemic they were essential in helping everybody that needed food. You would see long lines and people getting their food from the food bank, and yeah, I'm glad that you guys are working with them as well.
Yes, and there's another project that's in the works right now. We teamed up with a club in Rancho Bernardo, and we're trying to do a global grant, and I know it's in the works. It's to increase literacy for migrant children, and that's something they're going to be able to have access to, some app that's going to help them out. And we're excited about that. Something that Hortensia actually got off the ground with somebody from the Rancho Bernardo Club, and so we're hoping that comes to fruition this year.
If there's somebody out there that's kind of thinking about becoming a Rotarian, that's still not to convince, what would you tell them to kind of
Well, I think what I would tell them was I try to relate to my own personal experience, because the guy who invited me to the Calexico Rotary Club was a guy named Orlando Espino, who I worked with at the DA's office when I was a prosecutor. That was in 2018. He invited me to the meeting, and when I got there, I met the Perez family, Ray and Gil Perez. I met Harold Mendez. I met Mr. Eric Rice and his wife. He was an educator for many years here in the Valley. I mean, there are people who are much older than me, but regardless, for some reason, I just hit it off with them. They asked me questions about myself. They were very interested in me. And, just something inside of me clicked. And I remember I went home to my wife and she saw me. She saw a light in me, and I knew I was going to be a Rotarian. So my advice would be, come to one of our meetings and come meet some of the people. I'm very confident in the quality of the people that are in our club. I think once you meet the people that are in there, I think you'll be convinced that this is an organization you want to belong to. We have a diverse group of people. I'm an attorney. I'm a deputy public defender. We have educators in there. We have several educators. We have business owners. There's just a wide, a variety of different people who belong to the club, and they're quality people. So if you want to meet quality people and also help out the community, I don't think there's a better organization for that.
Yeah. And before we started recording, we were talking about, scheduling and all this. And I know that, it's a commitment, and for you, like, especially you, that, I'm sure that you're busy with your family, your job, and you have the time to dedicate to being a Rotarian. I know that, making that decision, it's hard, but yet you made that decision to be part of the Rotary Club. It really means a lot to why what I'm trying to say is, like, even though a lot of people might not be too sure about it, or you're a good example to say that, even though you're super busy with your job, like I said, your family, you still have time to be a Rotarian, and because it's a commitment, especially now that you're the president. I feel that it's a big commitment, and yet you are willing to be part of that and spend time doing that and
absolutely. And it's just it's a commitment, but it's also a responsibility. And you're right. As an attorney, I'm very busy, and I'm not just an attorney. I'm an adjunct professor at San Diego State, and so I have two jobs. I'm also I have a family. I got two kids who need attention. Mm-hmm. But I think as I've learned, and I've learned this through talking to Rotarians, experienced Rotarians, and also I was speaking to a friend of mine who was a Calexico Rotarian, Claire, and she was telling me how her father, he would stay up late at night working on Rotary projects. And he set a good example for his daughters. And I have two daughters as well. And I think I do want to set that type of example where it's not just work. You have to somehow give back to your community. Now, can I do it at this pace forever? Probably not. But this is, when they asked me to be president, I just knew I couldn't say no to it, even though I'm busy. And so you always find a way, time to do things. Sometimes you have to be more efficient, but you find ways of doing things. And as president, I have to delegate, but fortunately I have a group of people in a club who are willing to contribute and to give some time to our causes. Yeah. So yeah, it can be done. Yeah. Si se puede.
Yeah, for sure. and you mentioned, like, you don't watch TV, like you have hardly any time to do those kinds of things because,
it's funny. I used to watch TV. I used to like watching the Dodgers. I'm a big baseball fan, but I am fairly busy. So my time is the free time I have is spent with my daughters playing hide and seek, because that's what they like. They like playing hide and seek, So yeah, I'm a busy guy.
So if people, after listening to this, they're like, what, I want to see what the organization is all about. How will they go about contacting, or do they need to have somebody that's a Rotarian to invite them, or how does it help? Does it work?
No, actually, we can invite them, but they can contact our organization as well. I can actually give you my email or my phone number. They can call me directly, mm-hmm. and I'll be happy to invite them to one of our meetings. I mean, and the thing you got to keep in mind is we want people who really want to help the community. And there is some dues that you have to pay, but we'll work with people so they can pay it on a monthly basis, so it won't be as difficult. But it's important that we give back to the community and we find people who want to do that.
Yeah, and I know that I think especially now with the pandemic, people saw how hard some people in our community have it. And I think that it kind of planted that seed to kind of want to help other people in our community. So, I think there's a lot of people out there that want to help out the community.
I think there is too. I left the college and I lived other places. Obviously, I grew up here in the Imperial Valley. But the one thing that I will say about the Valley is we have some wonderful people here. And I say that because I've known people who are from here and they go leave somewhere else. For example, they'll go live in San Diego and they'll live in this really nice neighborhood in San Diego. And I'll ask them, what is it that you miss about the Imperial Valley? And they'll say, the people. I miss the people. Mm-hmm. Because we really have good people here, humble people, loyal people. And so there is quality people here that do want to give back to their community.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. That's something that I've never left the Valley, but I think as I grow older, I'm going to be 40 pretty soon.
I'm not telling you how old I am, so if you're trying to get that out of me, it's not going to happen.
No, I'm just saying that, as you grow older, you kind of notice those little things that when you were young, like you didn't really, I don't know, you didn't really care. But now as I'm getting older, I notice the amount of time people dedicate, volunteer, to help our community. And it's something that, as a young person, you really didn't, you didn't care or pay attention because you were, thinking of other things. But as I grow older, I have a family, I live in the community, and, I see, I'm a little bit more involved in my community, especially when it comes to volunteer work. You notice that there's way more people that are doing it without even, asking for that attention or putting it on social media. Oh, I'm doing this or that. There's a lot of people out here in the community that are volunteering, giving back, and like you said, it's the people here in the Valley are really, really good people.
Yeah, there is some very good quality people, and it's the Rotary Club is a good avenue, if you want to do something, because we'll always find projects. We always have projects going on, and again, I'll relate it to my experience. Prior to the Rotary Club, for me, what I would do is I'd go out to public schools and I'd have talks to kids and the parents regarding crimes and gangs, because that's what I knew. I was a prosecutor, and then I became a criminal defense attorney. But this, for me, has provided an avenue to do other things. And so if you're looking for an avenue to give back to your community in some way, I mean, the Rotary Club's a good way to do that. Before I forget, I did want to mention this big project that one of our members spearheaded. If you can talk about that now or later.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. We have a gentleman in our club named Harold Mendez. He's been a Rotarian for decades. He was a Rotarian in Mexicali. He was president there. Then he came to Calexico. He's been president in Calexico, I think, twice. Well, anyway, Calexico Rotary Club was founded in 1922. And I think 4 of the other clubs in the Imperial Valley, Holtville, Brawley, and El Centro, they're all around the same age, about 100 years old. Mm. So he came up with this idea of a centennial celebration, a 100-year celebration, and which is fine. We thought, that 100-year celebration, not a big deal. But then he comes up with this idea that he was going to invite the president of Rotary International. Now, to put that in perspective, the magnitude of this is huge, because Rotary has millions of members throughout the world. We have thousands of clubs, essentially probably in every country, maybe not every country, but there's thousands of clubs everywhere. So inviting the president of Rotary International is this huge, huge undertaking. Okay. First of all, it's not easy to get to him. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So he came up with this idea, and believe it or not, he was able to get the commitment from the Rotary International, who lives in India, by the way, to be here for a 100-year celebration in November. Again, it was started by a Calexico Rotarian, Harold Mendez. And then he teamed up with Cliff Caldwell. Then he invited me on the committee as well. But it's going to be a really, really big thing. It's going to be on the news. It's going to be on TV because the president of Rotary International is a very important person around the world. He's a dignitary. And so to have him here is going to be a big honor.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, and he's from India, so like he's coming down to Calexico.
Well, the actual party, to be honest with you, is going to be at the Kashan Casino.
Oh, okay.
And the reason for that is, we were looking for places here in the Valley, but as I found out, and I don't think I've ever really organized a big event because I've learned a lot from this one, is that when you plan a big event like this, there's a lot of things you need to take into consideration. You need to have rooms so people can stay here, and you need a place that's big enough that's going to be able to accommodate the number of people we need. Unfortunately, during that time, it's going to be in November. It's going to be during cattle call. A lot of rooms are going to be taken, and we were planning on having it at the Barberworth, and that didn't work out. And so we looked at the Kashan Casino, and we went over there one day, myself, and Harold Mendez and Cliff Caldwell went to go check it out, and they have a really nice facility there. It's really nice. So it's still Imperial Valley, and I think it's going to be we're going to have a great event.
It's crazy that it's in the Imperial Valley, but people think it's in Yuma County because it's so close, right? So like right in the border.
Yeah, it's actually, I think it's probably about, the Kashan tribe, I think, is right there. It's probably like 5 miles from Yuma. So, yeah, but it is Imperial County.
Yeah.
It is. I pretty much became very familiar with that because I used to prosecute cases from the Winter Haven area.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah.
Yeah, even I thought that Winter Haven was in Arizona for some reason. But it's in California.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of people, for example, the people who work at the Winter Haven schools, they'll live in Yuma. Yeah.
It's cheaper in Yuma.
It's cheaper, especially gas.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, like the Valley people, every time we go up to Yuma, we always make sure we have a quarter tank so we can put more gas in.
Just enough to get there, and then we'll fill up the tank.
And fill up the tank, exactly.
For sure.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Marquez, anything else that you would like to talk about that I didn't ask you or touch upon in our conversation today?
What I'd like to end by saying, I don't know if there's an ending, but is that, and I alluded to this at the beginning, I think as Rotarians, we're always looking for needs of the community. How can we help the community? So what I'm going to invite your guests to do is if there's some need that you feel that the Rotary Club can help out with, reach out to one of our members. You can find us actually on Facebook. Okay, you just go to Calexico Rotary on Facebook and you'll find it. We want to know the issues with the community, because the first step in solving any problem or addressing any problem is to recognize the problem. Yeah. Once you recognize it, then you can attack it. And the only way we're going to recognize it is if we get input from the community. So I invite members of the community to reach out to us. And if they want to become a member, reach out to me, George Marquez, and I'll give you my phone number.
Yeah, and I'll put your email on the description of today's episode. That way, if people want to send you an email, to me, it's a little bit better to email, just so that your phone's not going off the hook. I know you're busy.
You think it'll be that bad? You're making me nervous now.
I mean, we never know, right? We hope that a lot of people want to join and help out the community and be part of your great organization. But to me, at least it's easier for me to do email, just so that you get to it when you have a chance. I don't know, when you're busy during the day with your family or job or Rotarian stuff. I think emails, it's a better way, but I'll put both. I'll put both for sure. But so that people can reach out to you and
Yeah, the other members of the executive board are Claire Machado, she's our secretary, and Jorge Alcantar. So you can reach out to any of us. Okay.
Yeah, and also I'll put a link to your Facebook and your Instagram. And also want to shout out Mario Conde. He's the one that reached out to me and let me know that you guys wanted to be on and talk about the Rotary Club in Calexico. He had reached out before, and like I said, before a while back we had kind of like touch bases on having somebody on, but just things happened. But I'm glad you were able to come on today. I really enjoyed the conversation and got to know about the Rotary Club. Like I said, when I was a kid, I remember like playing sports and having the Rotary Club sponsor uniforms, and I would see sponsored by the Rotary Club, but I never knew what this organization was all about. So
yeah, well, I thank you for having me. Again, it's an organization that's dedicated to community service, and we're going to continue to do that. And we have a legacy here in Calexico of giving back, and we're going to continue to do that. Please reach out to us.
Yeah, for sure. Well, thank you once again for taking this time off, especially on a Friday. I know it's the end of the week, and we want to get home and enjoy the weekend, but I really appreciate you taking this time. And once again, I want to thank my friends here at Modern Home Furniture for allowing me to record today's episode here. I know you were browsing around, so hopefully.
Yeah, they're trying to get me to buy a couch here, so maybe this interview came out expensive.
All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for listening or watching. Stay safe. This thing's not over. Numbers are going up all across the country, and you got to be safe. Wear your face mask, wash your hands, be safe. And we'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.